Welcome to State of Tech, Synechron's innovation podcast. Synechron is a leading global digital transformation consulting firm focused on financial services and big technology organizations. Our State of Tech podcast hosts subject matter experts and business leaders as they explore emerging technologies, industry insights, innovation trends, and more. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hi there, I'm Chloe and I am joining you from sunny Dubai. So today I'm joined by Peter McConville, who's our Global Head of Digital here at Synechron. Hi Pete, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you Chloe. This is exciting, my first podcast with Synechron, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Great, and I think it's going to be a great one too. So today we're going to be discussing the Metaverse. I know that's a topic that you're very passionate about, Pete.
Yes, of course. It's been a hobby for the last few years, ever since the initial buzz came out in 2022. So yeah, I'm really passionate about all things Metaverse, both software and hardware.
It will be great if we can just start by redefining for our listeners what the Metaverse actually is, or perhaps what it wants to be.
I think there's many different answers to this over the last few years. I've always positioned the metaverse in two different areas. The first being the immersive side of the metaverse, which is the most traditional consumer exposed area of what it is. So like AR technologies, VR technologies, these aspects of the experience have been available to customers for many, many years. But over the last 2 to 3 years, that as technology and hardware improves, so does those experiences. And the second area where I look at more decentralized platforms. So the metaverse is not just about providing the immersive experience, but it's also part of several applications and products in the market today. So if you look at one of my favorites is Roblox. If you've got anyone who has kids, I've got nieces that play it. It's a decentralized platform that allows users to interact with each other across platforms, whether that's on mobile, on console devices, on tablets, etc. So it's a decentralized platform. It's not tied to iOS, to Android, to Xbox, to PlayStation, etc., like these types of platforms. And what that does allows you to transact across those platforms, its own digital currencies. I think we seen 18 to 24 months ago, Gucci brought out their first digital asset on Roblox worth thousands of dollars, which is crazy from a branding perspective. But that is the impact it had on the industry. And it's not had the direct commercial impact, perhaps, on the financial industry as what people would have expected 2 years ago. But you had banks in the US creating virtual branches online in different types of environments. You had clients and banks across the world going into the NFT space, tokenization. So it has had, let's say, it's experimentation, but it's not here yet. That's for sure. So it's still got a way to go in the financial services space.
Yeah, and that ties in really nicely to my next question, which is, how has the metaverse progressed over the last 6 months, or was this just hype? And do you think the metaverse is a reality right now?
It's a good question, because I wrote an article about it 18 months ago, and there was factors that needed to happen, or milestones that needed to be reached in society, in ecosystem, and in hardware to actually allow for the metaverse to flourish in its guise as being an immersive platform. The hardware 18 months ago, 2 years ago, was incredibly expensive. There is now more available hardware, like the Oculus 2 has come out, PlayStation VR 2 has come out. These are incredibly expensive products, right? From a PlayStation's perspective, is an interesting one, because the gaming sector is always going to be ahead in the metaverse, right? It's got Unity, Unreal Engine, those capabilities that are needed to build immersive experiences. They're always going to be ahead because they own the talent. One of my predictions at the time was that there was one or two things that needed to happen for it to really flourish. First of all, the hardware needed to become consumer affordable in a way. So the PlayStation VR 2 is pretty much the same price as buying a PlayStation itself. And that's just a very, very high price point when you consider it's not an everyday home device. It's not like when the iPhone came out in 2008 or the iPad later on. These pieces of hardware, which changed how we experience the internet and digital channels and brands today, from going from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, and the whole metaverse saga, is it became accessible at that time. It became a necessity product to have in your household. But the price point is still out of reach for many, many people still. I think it's about $500-$600 for a really high-end standard VR device. There is cheaper ones, of course, but I don't think you get the real experience. Everyone is going to go for the higher-end brands. But what has happened, which I think is actually really positive, which was going on to the second prediction, is there has to be some sort of partnership between the big brands. So you've seen Facebook and Ray-Ban over the last 6 months, they've released their VR AR glasses, which are quite impressive, bringing comfort to that experience, which are historically very uncomfortable for everyday use. So Facebook has really looked at the right partnership in terms of their whole meta branding and the rebranding a couple of years ago to really get the hardware right, because it's also a brand that people relate to in terms of sunglasses, and they bring the technology in their ecosystem into that wearing experience. And the second one being Apple's Vision Pro, which is due to release, I think, sometime Q2 2024 this year, which had huge impact on the industry when it first announced, I think 12 months ago. Apple have had a really good habit of bringing out different devices, and the Apple Watch, the iPad, the iPhone, obviously in their laptop series. Although they're seen as very expensive products, people still buy them. So I assume that comes in at the right price point and the right software underlying it to bring those metaverse experiences to the consumer. Because without the software experiences, they're allowing developers to build products within that experience, it's going to be lower user adoption. Like perhaps the Facebook Oculus, it's not got the biggest app developers in the world building applications for it. It's much more of a closed ecosystem. Whereas the App Store, traditionally, huge ecosystem, huge level of investment across different gaming companies. So those would be the spaces I would imagine that over the next maybe 12 to 18 months, we will see hardware get to market at the right price point, and then software will continually catch up.
Yeah, I think you make some excellent points there, particularly on the cost factor. I know that will be a barrier for many people, but I think we've seen the dominance of other technologies and these other perhaps buzzwords. Some people might like to refer to them, for example, artificial intelligence. To what extent do you think the metaverse is still a priority, or has it maybe been overtaken by other things like AI?
It definitely has been overtaken in terms of priority and the hopes and dreams of people with budgets across many industries and organizations, for sure. AI isn't overly reliant on a consumer having to purchase something to experience it, like the metaverse would have to be. Although there is the decentralized platforms and products that I've mentioned, like Roblox and the others out there, especially in the gaming industry. But if we're looking to tackle an entire society, not just those interested in one specific aspect, such as gaming, AI is here. It's here to stay. It's got historical value. Like Synechron has been doing AI for 10, 15 years. Over the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen a huge increase in that because of ChatGPT and Gen AI emergence. That's more eyeballs and more focus on it, perhaps, because of really smart marketing tactics from ChatGPT. It's really caught the eyes of everyone, not just those in corporate environments, but everyday consumers. But AI it's here to stay. It's gained traction. It's gaining more budgets and more investment across the corporate industry. And so it should. But both spaces kind of come hand in hand. If you're going to do incredible AR and VR immersive experiences or decentralized platforms, AI will play its part in that for sure. But I still believe that hardware and the partnership side, and also the talent that's needed to create metaverse type experiences, is typically not owned by the organizations who would pursue that opportunity. So obviously I mentioned the gaming sector is very huge in these capabilities. That would either need a partnership between Apple and one of those gaming brands like Blizzard, for example, a very popular gaming brand. Or if you have Microsoft, who have the Xbox, they would have a talent pool they can tap into to create those types of experiences. Plus, they are very strong hardware. Whereas AI doesn't have that, right? It has access to all levels of an ecosystem, from operational efficiencies within a corporate or in the banking sector, such as the sector Synechron operates in, right through to the front office and consumer applications, commercial opportunities. AI will impact that very soon in the future. So the road to success for AI is much shorter, whereas the road to success for the metaverse is still some way to go because of some of the challenges that I mentioned before.
Definitely sounds like there's a bright future for both metaverse and AI, which is good to hear. Now, pivoting slightly to the work that we do here at Synechron, what do you think are some of the current challenges or limitations to offer full-on financial services and these types of kind of banking operations within the metaverse?
I think there's been some experimentation, especially with tokenization and NFTs back when they had their bit of a bubble back in 2002. It has slowed down greatly due to commercialization. Market conditions have naturally impacted that. What I would expect from Synechron's perspective is to continue really training the workforce. I mentioned talent, and it's not just in the metaverse space, this is also in the AI space. Even though in AI we have significant workforce, but it's not just about the people that develop solutions in this space, but it's also the adoption of it. So that's going to be a big piece on AI. But from a metaverse perspective, perhaps a slower trend for us would be to adapt our in-house capabilities to having more skill sets in Unreal Engine, in different types of immersive technologies. That will be maybe more of a slow burner. But part of my job in Synechron is to ensure that when that time comes, we are prepared for action. So we're not overly reactive to the market. But I think that's something that we're still going to wait and see how our other products and hardware in the market reacts to different launches, and continually monitor the market and be proactive as we can be in terms of being ready for the next pool of talent to come into our organization.
Sounds like there's a lot of work to be done and some exciting times coming. I'm looking forward to that. So my final question today is, in your opinion, what are the best case studies or use of the metaverse that you have seen in the markets? And how can the financial services sector embrace this moving forward?
Although the price point of some of the pieces of hardware I've mentioned are incredibly high, I've been massively impressed by the VR2. Some of the gaming experiences are just ridiculously immersive and also customizable. I'm a big gamer myself, so you really do appreciate the variation you can have in terms of those experiences online. I do expect the Vision Pro from Apple to bring next generation type VR and AR experiences. How the financial industry adapts to that, though, is a completely different scenario. It's not traditional. Many of the big banks globally are still trying to get their Web 2.0 web and mobile apps. Back in 2007, 2008, when they had to make the change from traditional telephone banking, or at minimum even online banking back then, was not such a progressive thing. But now we can't even think about anything else but mobile banking. Many people don't even visit branches anymore. And regulation is even moving more towards many services have to be made available digitally, whether that's on web or mobile banking. So to get to the next level of experience, to go to something more immersive, it's going to take significant user adoption to make sure that if a financial service provider is going to prepare for that next level of experience, it has to be available in everyone's homes today. So the market conditions have to change. The price points have to change for this hardware to happen. But I do expect things like digital currencies will continue to evolve. We've seen that with central banks across different markets. That space will continue to evolve drastically. And there's pros and cons to that space, especially in different markets. But if we're talking about the immersive side, I think we're several years away from that being adopted. And it won't be the financial services industry that will drive that. They will piggyback on top of other industries like hospitality, like food and beverage, aviation industry. When these industries come together and adopt these new types of experiences for their customer base, then these channels and ways of experiencing the metaverse will become normal. And then I would expect the financial services industry to then come off the back of that and then start to flourish and then start to lead, most importantly, because we know, as we know today, you can't survive without having access to financial services for everyday life. So that's my vision for the future.
Amazing. A lot of food for thought there. Thank you, Pete, for joining us and sharing all of your insights. And who knows, maybe next time we'll be recording this podcast in the metaverse.
Yeah, that'll be the next best thing. Can't wait. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Synechron State of Tech podcast. Don't forget to like and share this episode and subscribe to stay up to date on all of the latest and innovative technologies savvy businesses need to know about. To learn more about Synechron, head to our website at www.synechron.com. Stay tuned.